That's right. Business Today on KHTS, to me, it's one of the most fabulous, Aaron, radio stations in America. You've been involved now with KHTS for a few weeks. AM 1220, you're listening. Big shout out to all our friends out there. We're getting a lot of emails and texts that you like our job show, and I think we came up with a name, Jobs Radio Network.
Yes.
Soon to have a logo. We'll have a logo pretty soon.
Is it part of the EU or?
No.
Okay.
We're out of the EU now.
We'll
and of course,
vote on that. We'll have a referendum.
Yeah, and then we have the fabulous Ellie with us today. Say hi to everybody. Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
So today we're going to get over the hurdle of. Let me say it differently. We're going to talk about what happens when you turn 50. We'll save that for the second segment. The first segment is going to be working from home, working remotely, and talking about a great book called Remote. Right, Jason Fried. Want to give him a plug. Do we get any benefit from that, giving him a plug, Jason Fried?
I think we're getting some high fives from some.
If you go to like Talk or TED Talk, you can listen to him. Which I
He's
did
pretty
yesterday.
well known, actually.
Is he, Jason Fried?
Yeah.
But not in Turkey, Allie, huh?
No.
No.
I didn't.
Do you know who Elvis Presley is?
Yes, of course.
Okay, I'm just seeing who you know. What about LeBron James? No.
No.
We stumped her.
Jason Fried may be universally accepted still.
Yeah, we stumped her. All right, the show is called The Business Life, the Jobs Report. Aaron Moskowitz. Now, Aaron, we decided last week that your title is a data scientist because you're maybe America's #1 researcher. You actually know stuff that I don't know. I mean, you really know stuff. You really do.
I appreciate the compliment.
No, you do. You're
I'm
smart.
still being tested.
You're smart. You're handsome, and you're clever. Is being clever?
No.
It's not a compliment.
No.
You're not clever.
Okay. Thank you.
I want to. I pray. I just want to put this out there. There's a dear friend of mine, Lois Ann, needs a prayer chain. So.
Yes.
I'm praying for her, and we have thousands of listeners in Southern California. So you can just say a little prayer for Lois Ann. I'd appreciate it from the coach, Coach Ron Tunig. Go to my website, coachtunig.com, only if you're conservative. And then our show is brought to you by Pools by Ben. Do you have a pool, Aaron?
A small jacuzzi.
They do stuff like that. Pools by Ben. There's nobody else in Southern California but them. What about you, Al? You have a pool?
Yes.
You do?
Yes,
Call
I do.
Pools by Ben. They'll come out and fix your pool up. Make it nice and blue and whatever color you want.
Oh.
You know. All right, so let's get to it. Show also brought to you by Lisa's Tax Service. So, working remote, what does that mean to you, Aaron Moskowitz? What does that mean to you? If I said you're working remotely tomorrow.
I think it's the new way of life. I think we have a lot of new enterprises springing all over the place, including one group called WeWork. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of new companies, and as I mentioned last week, telemetry.
WeWork.com, is that the name? WeWork.com.
WeWork.com. Yeah, they became a $50 billion company overnight.
Yeah.
I believe, and they keep growing. They just opened up an office in Shanghai, I believe.
Really?
And the purpose that they're serving is that they're creating these virtual work offices all around the world.
What do they do? What's their product, though? Maybe we get somebody a job.
They lease space for very cheaply in really hipster-looking office spaces.
Hipsters
with
like you?
A cool cucumber water bar and all the good stuff. And their membership model really works out for a lot of the tech companies. So let's say Uber is based in San Francisco. They want to have an office in New York, so they're going to have their salespeople work virtually in a smaller office. They're not renting out, for 3 years, triple net or whatever, an office.
So now we're going to save some overhead,
yes,
which can be passed on to the customer.
And everything's being done online and through the phone anyways. WordPress, as you all know, that's one of the main content management systems we all use, is actually developed and maintained by a company called Automatic that, as Jason Fried, I believe, mentioned in his book, has entirely virtual workforce.
You know stuff the coach doesn't know. So, Ali, in Turkey,
Yes.
You're a visiting professor, incidentally. What's the name of your university?
Osman Gazi
Of course,
University.
Osman Gazi. Is that it?
Is that it?
Oh my Gazi. So is working remote a part of the Turkish culture?
No, actually not. Everybody goes to work in the morning
Right.
and comes home in the evening.
So this
That
book,
is the usual way.
yeah,
Yes.
the usual way. So that was the usual way in this country too a few years ago. My wife works remotely, and
What
you
does
know,
she do?
I can't tell you what she does.
All right.
I can't reveal on the air what she does, but she does work remotely, and sometimes she goes into her office. So, but that's another story. I have to get her permission for everybody to find out what she does. Or if you give me $500 in cash, I'll tell you what she does.
Let me think about it.
I'll pass.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so
I'm that curious.
So Jason Fried, bestseller.
Yes.
Interesting too on TED Talk. So if you don't want to read his book, go to TED Talk. But he talks about several issues at work. First of all, the underlying theme, Allie, is you don't get any work done when you go to work. You know why?
Why?
Because you have to deal with M&Ms. You know what M&Ms are?
Managers and meetings?
Managers and meetings. Very good. So when I first heard this, I thought, I really like M&Ms. They're beating up on M&Ms. So think about it. Managers and meetings. Managers are supervisors or people in executive positions. And what do they do all day? All they want to do is have meetings. But those meetings interrupt the workflow. They interrupt the employee who's trying to concentrate on their task, right? Mm-hmm. And what, Aaron?
I'm just saying, companies that rely on negative meetings and management, I mean, are these well-led companies?
Well,
Are these real companies? Are these companies we want our listeners to go apply to?
well, we're going to be doing employer profiles, not today, but we're going to get into that. That's a good question, because if you listen to Jason Fried, he talks about at work the number of interruptions in the course of the day from supervisors, from managers, from meetings.
Yeah.
This is why work doesn't get done. And when his analogy, Allie, is that if your sleep gets interrupted, what happens during the course of the day when you don't
feel tired.
You feel tired.
Yes.
You don't
You
get
have
your
less
REM.
Yeah.
You need your REM, which is like the last 20 minutes.
The REM.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got some good REM this morning, I think.
All right.
So when you look at the workplace and you're an employee, you're forced into an environment where you have. What are you going to tell your boss? I'm not going to the meeting. No. So he has some suggestions as to what to do. Do you want to hear what they are?
Yes.
Yes.
First of all, he says pick a day of the week. Maybe no talk Thursday. No talk Thursday. So you tell your fellow employees that I don't want to be interrupted. I have a lot of things on my plate I got to get done. Don't talk to me. So I like that, but in the real world, the peer pressure, you're now separating yourself from all the other employees, right?
Yes.
And you know what happens then. Then the management says, why aren't you more like Coach? Why don't you work your butt off like Coach does, right?
Right.
There's almost no middle ground. I think Jason Fried's just trying to sell books.
You don't think he has a good idea?
I think he has a good idea, but I just want to play devil's advocate because it's fun sometimes.
No, I think there's some merit here.
Whoa. Jason Fried is the founder of Basecamp, which
Okay.
the premise, like they get customers that are working remotely. So he's got to try to buy in or get buy-in from managers that are going to license his software. He makes a great point, as a lot of tech companies are running this way. Plus, could you imagine somebody, I guess, on the product side constantly communicating with a web developer all day long? You know, they speak kind of different languages sometimes.
We got to get Allie involved in this. But
Yeah.
you're a data scientist, but I look at you a little bit of a techie. Is that a good thing or a bad thing if I look at you that way?
That's fine, but I don't watch Star Trek episodes or collect any of those toys.
How about horror movies? How about science fiction movies? Do you like science fiction movies?
They kind of freak me out.
Really? You don't like them? Then you're not a real techie then, are you?
No.
No. Okay.
I'm a fake.
What about you, Allie? Do you like science fiction?
I do like good science fiction
Good?
movies.
Good?
Good.
Good
No,
science?
good.
Good?
But I don't like horror movies. I
No.
can't watch. Yeah.
Now, in Turkey, you could work remotely, right? You're here visiting the United States.
Ooh, good point.
Right.
No,
Yeah, why
actually-
not? She could work remotely.
Right.
I'll get you a microphone,
Okay.
and we could get a camera. Incidentally, our shows are videoed. You can go to YouTube and see what we all look like next week. Our shows are podcast tonight, so if you go to Hometown Station after 6 tonight, and if you like what we're doing and you can't listen for the rest of the day, we're podcast. You like that?
Yeah. We're virtual.
And we're working live, too.
Yes.
We're live right now on hometownstation.com. Also great, maybe the best radio app in the country.
Are we
There's a
virtual workers right now?
No.
If
No,
somebody's
we're live.
listening to us in Turkey? Okay.
No, her friends are listening to us, and we have listeners all over the world. Last week we had a listener in what, Africa, South Africa? Where was
Yes. My husband, actually.
he? Yeah. And
Wow.
Is he listening now?
I don't know.
Yeah.
He's in Turkey.
What's his name?
Bülent.
Oh, cool. Boulant.
I bet you can't.
Please
say.
don't correct
Don't-
me.
No, like in Turkey, is there?
Brulant.
Well, there's no more Bobs or Mikes or Bills in the United
probably
States. How about
better
in
that
Turkey?
way.
Is there any Bobs or Mikes in Turkey?
No.
No Bobs or Mike. What is a common name, a male name in Turkey? Boulant?
No. Mehmet.
Stop it, Ali.
Actually, you know one.
Met.
Turkish doctor, Mehmet Öz.
Well, Justin knows stuff.
the
The
one.
coach doesn't know too. What did Aaron? What did Ali just said? The name is Met. Your name is Met.
Mehmet Öz.
Met.
Memetos.
Memedos.
Yes, very good.
Memendos. That's the most
Okay,
common.
We're on
male-
our way.
Please call him Bob.
We're giving our listeners some serious value right now.
Okay, so the most common male name in Turkey is Metnos.
No, Mehmet.
Met. What about female name in Turkey? Your real name's not Ali, is it?
Actually, it's a nickname from the short
Which- what-
version from the long.
What's your real name?
Ayşegül.
Of course. All right, back to
Oh,
the
boy.
show we call The Business of Life, talking here about jobs. Aaron Moskowitz and the coach, and we're talking about the book Remote, because I think more and more people, especially in the second segment, we're going to talk about turning 50, aging, right, in the workforce. So this is a good reason. You could find an employer, stay with me on this, Aaron.
Right.
Appreciate the eye contact,
Yes,
too.
yes.
You could find an employer in Kansas that needs your expertise. Now, you have a lot of expertise.
This is the brilliance of the remote workforce.
Thank you.
Is now you can look for jobs all over the country.
Thank you.
You can go on Indeed.com and just plug in USA. If you're a programmer or you do something you believe you can conduct your responsibilities virtually, then go do it. Apply anywhere. Do not restrict yourself to your zip code. That's crazy.
And why does the employer need to see your face? I mean,
They actually don't. A lot of these
Exactly.
people. And imagine this: you're in Des Moines, Iowa, and you want to apply for a job as a PHP programmer, and you can now go to New York, where they have such a high standard of living in New York. They look at what you require in Des Moines.
bingo. They can pay
You
you
got
less.
it.
They can pay
They can
you
pay
less.
you less.
Pay you less
Yes.
in Des Moines.
Yes.
Now,
You're like a Chinese manufacturer.
Ali, you could work on the phone. You could teach people how to speak what? Turkish? What's your language?
Turkish.
Turkish. Finally got something right.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So
I can try.
I asked her last week. Never mind.
Take the
I'm
name
not
of the
going to tell you
company,
what I asked her last
add
week.
ish. Or
No.
the name of the country and add ish.
Yeah, no, but customer service. You could do, Ali, you could do customer service for our show when you go back to Turkey.
Yes.
Yes,
You
I
could
can.
do people, because we're going to
Yeah.
have something called the Job Weathers Report on hometownstation.com coming up soon.
Well, it's already done in USA.
Right, in Salt Lake
outsourcing-
City, yeah.
Outsourcing customer services. Outsourcing.
But you have a cute little accent, so I'd rather have customer service from you than somebody with Aaron's accent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. How can I help you today, right? In Turkey. Okay, so when you look at when you're looking for a job, if you want to work remotely, it makes sense right now. First of all, you're going to get, I think, the employer is going to get more work out of you.
Yes.
Agreed?
Yes.
2, there's not going to be the interruptions.
Right.
3, you don't have a commute cost.
Right.
4, the employer, just what you said, is going to save money on office space.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of benefits here.
But there's one person who kind of dogged the whole idea of remote workforces over the last few years.
Who was that?
That's Marissa Mayer. I don't know if you've heard of her.
Never heard of her.
So she was,
She going to be Hillary's running mate?
possibly. She was the one who went from Google, and she was.
Oh,
yeah.
I know who she is.
You know, her
Yes,
job
I
at
know who
one
she is.
point
Yeah, yeah.
was to say at Google, no, don't add anything to the Google homepage. Just
Right.
leave it plain.
Right.
It works great. She did that for several years and had a penthouse in the Ritz-Carlton, supposedly.
Right.
Anyways, she went to Yahoo, and
She doesn't like all the frolicking around.
She kind of
doesn't-
panicked.
Yeah.
Right? And she saw that there were all these virtual workers, and so she forced them all to start coming in the office.
Right.
A tech company,
Right.
Yahoo.
Right.
Come on now.
Is she still there?
Believe it or not, yes.
But she has
like
really
royalty
been
out
panned.
there.
No, she has been panned as a horrible CEO.
Yeah, she is. She's one of the worst.
Yeah.
What did she do at Google again? Nothing.
Nothing. I mean, and I don't want to beat up on managers, but I'm not sure in the workplace today the value of a manager like there was maybe 20, 25, 30 years ago. We can't tell people what you do for a living because it's a secret. But do you have a manager that you report to?
No.
You don't.
No.
No.
But that's the beauty of working remotely is you're responsible for yourself, and nobody can take credit for what you're doing.
So you better be self-disciplined.
Yes, it's great for those that are self-disciplined. Nobody can blame you for anything happening in the office.
Allie, in working remotely, it's not a big subject in Turkey. We talked about that earlier.
Yes.
It's not part of the Turkish culture right now.
Yes, yeah. I mean, some people do, but
Very few.
Yeah, very few.
Yeah, and so what Aaron said earlier, you've got to provide a workstation for people, and you don't have to provide that when it's done remotely.
So let's talk about the stack real quick. What is the stack? Stack, i.e., what are the tools you're using to work remotely? Well, of course, since
Is this
guy,
code stack code for something?
it's just what are you using so that you can work virtually? Like what kind of software? What?
Well, go slow with me. Is this
Okay.
a language that I would use with an employer?
It makes you sound really good.
Okay,
Like
so
you
how would
really
I
know what
say
you're
to an
doing.
employer, I'm stacked?
No, you say I use the virtual worker stack, and that sounds really cool. Doesn't
I
it?
use the virtual worker
very-
stack.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
stacked.
Here's my stack.
I'm really stacked.
I use the stack, right?
Okay,
and
so
here's
what's the
the stack.
stack?
The stack.
Give it to me.
I'd say I would include Basecamp, that you have experience with Basecamp, right? Slack. Have you heard of Slack?
No, this is all new jargon.
Slack is, remember, like instant
My
messenger.
granddaughter
and you
said
use face-
shade. What does shade mean for you young people?
You put it over the window to block the sun.
No, you don't know what you're talking about. Justin does. I'll ask Cody during the break. Shade means something.
Okay, Slack.
You're-
Slack. SLACK. That's what everybody's using now for the messaging and sending images like screenshots and videos. Slack. That's what everybody's using. There is actually we may have a call.
We don't
Coming
take
in.
callers unless they.
If we do, we might have a.
No, we don't take callers. We're live. Aaron, pay attention to me. Give me some eye
Okay.
contact.
Slack.
Yeah.
Jira is a ticketing system that a lot of the companies are using to.
I'm totally confused now. I
Yes.
want to get a job working remotely at home. I'm
Yes.
talking to the employer, and I'm saying to the employer, I'm really stacked.
No, they're watching you. Yeah, they give you tools because they're watching you. They watch you in Basecamp. They see what you're uploading. They
What's
are involved.
Basecamp?
Basecamp is
Allie
the software
stacked.
that
Allie could
Jason
get a
Fried
job.
created.
Allie stacked. She could get a job.
Allie, do you know, is there anything special in Turkey that people are using? Do they use Microsoft SharePoint or any software? Because they're on laptops usually.
yes,
Email,
of course.
Microsoft Exchange. There you go. That's part of
There's
the
a
virtual work.
Microsoft Office.
So you got to have the language. In other words, if you're going to work remotely, you've got to have a vocabulary.
You got to know the stack.
You got to know the stack.
You got it.
Now, owning a computer, is that part of the stack?
They'll
What,
usually give
Cody,
you
1 minute to break? Okay.
Okay.
I don't know. You lost me here.
Email's not enough. Email's not enough. You're not collaborating.
If I want a job remotely in South Dakota, am I going to FaceTime the employer? Is that how I'm going to get the job?
There may be a system that does that every once in a while. Usually they'll use Skype or Google Hangout,
Okay.
but it's not
To
as
interview
secure.
me, right?
No, interview, you got to go. They got to meet you face to face.
No. I got to get on an airplane and go to South Dakota to get a job working remotely? I don't think so.
Yes,
I think you're wrong on this.
you do.
Let's get Jason Fried on the phone. I don't think so.
Welcome, Jason. No, just kidding.
No. All right.
He's a little busy.
All right. Let's do some research on this because I don't believe that so you're saying everybody working remotely has to go and meet the employer? Let's do some research on this and come back next week.
Certainly.
Okay. We'll be right back on the show we call The Business Life. Aaron Moskowitz, Allie, and the coach. We're going to be talking about if you're 50, if you just turned 50, what's going to happen? We'll be right back. I'll tell you what's going to happen if you come back on KHTS AM 1220. We'll be right back.